I kept the receipt. That's the kind of person I am, or was. Every deposit slip, every confirmation email, every invoice from the fertility clinic. I had them all organized in a blue accordion folder labeled Future. $37,216, 6 years of overtime shifts, skipped vacations, and saying no to everything that wasn't essential. That money wasn't just savings, it was my last shot at becoming a mother. My name is Jordan, and I'm 34 years old. I should probably start there. The day I found out the account was empty, I was sitting in my car outside the clinic. I just pulled up the banking app to transfer the deposit for my first IVF cycle when I saw the balance, 143 and 50s. My hands went numb. I refreshed the screen 3 times. Then I called the bank, my voice shaking so badly the representative asked if I was having a medical emergency. No, I said, just a financial one. The transfers had happened over 2 weeks. 4 separate withdrawals, each approved with my father's name as a joint account holder, something I'd added years ago when I was traveling for work and needed someone to access funds in an emergency. This wasn't an emergency. This was theft. I drove to my parents' house in a fog. My mother answered the door with a dish towel over her shoulder, looking irritated that I'd shown up unannounced. "We need to talk," I said. She sighed and let me in. My father was in his recliner, pretending to watch golf. He wouldn't look at me. "Where's my money?" I kept my voice steady, professional, like I was asking about a misplaced package. My mother wiped her hands on the towel. "Jordan, we were going to tell you, where is my money? It went to help your sister." She said it like that made it okay, like Delilah's name was a magic word that erased everything else. Help her with what? Eric's legal fees. You know about the lawsuit? I know he committed fraud and dragged Delilah into it. I also know that's not my problem. My father finally spoke. "She's family, Jordan." "So am I." My voice cracked. "That was 6 years of my life. 6 years of saving for something you both know I desperately want." My mother's face hardened. "We'll pay you back." "When?" Silence. "When, Mom?" "We don't know yet. Eric's still sorting things out." "But we will." She turned back toward the kitchen. "We had no choice. They were going to press charges." I stood there shaking. "You had a choice. You chose Delilah." Again. My father shifted in his chair. "Don't be dramatic." I left without another word. That was 3 weeks ago. They haven't mentioned paying me back since. Tonight I'm sitting at their dining room table for what my mother called a family dinner to clear the air. Delilah's here with Eric, both of them looking uncomfortable but not apologetic. My mother made pot roast. My father opened wine. We're halfway through the meal when Delilah clears her throat. "So, we have some news." She glances at Eric, who nods. "I'm pregnant." My mother's hands fly to her mouth. "Oh my God. Oh, sweetheart." My father stands up to hug her. Eric grins like he's won something. I sit perfectly still, fork hovering over my plate. "How far along?" my mother asks, already crying happy tears. 10 weeks. We just found out last week." "This is such a blessing," my mother gushes. She's glowing, radiant, more excited than I've seen her in years. Then she looks at me, really looks at me with this pitying smile that makes my stomach turn. "See, Jordan?" she says softly. "It just happens when you stop trying so hard." The table goes quiet. Delilah looks down. Eric suddenly finds his wine very interesting. My father clears his throat. "Prue? What? I'm just saying. All that stress she puts on herself. All that money spent on doctors. Maybe if she just relaxed. Congratulations," I say. My voice sounds far away, like it's coming from someone else. "That's wonderful news." I smile. I pick up my wine glass. I take a sip. And in that moment, sitting at that table, surrounded by people who've taken everything from me and feel nothing, I make a decision. They have no idea what's coming. I drive home in silence, my hands steady on the wheel. When I get to my apartment, I don't turn on the lights. I just stand in the doorway for a moment, letting my eyes adjust to the darkness. Then I walk to my bedroom closet and pull down a shoebox from the top shelf. Inside is a manila envelope sealed with red wax. My grandmother's handwriting across the front. For Jordan, when the time is right. I haven't opened it in 5 years. Haven't needed to. Until now. My grandmother Vera died when I was 29. She'd lived with my parents for the last 3 years of her life, but I was the one who took care of her. Every day after work, I'd drive over, help her bathe, make her dinner, sit with her while she watched her shows. My mother was always too busy. Delilah never even offered. "You're a good girl," Vera would say, patting my hand with her papery fingers. "You've got your grandfather's heart. Strong, steady." The last month was the hardest. Hospice came in, but I was still there every night. I'd sleep in the chair next to her bed, waking up every time her breathing changed. 3 days before she passed, she was lucid, sharp even. She asked my mother to leave the room. "I need to talk to Jordan alone." My mother looked offended, but left. Vera reached under her pillow and pulled out the envelope. "This is for you," she said. "Don't open it now. Open it when you need it most." "Grandma, listen to me." Her grip was surprisingly strong. "Your mother has always been blind to what she has. She sees what she wants to see. And your sister." She shook her head. "Delilah takes. That's all she knows how to do." "You don't have to." "But you, Jordan, you give, you build, you protect." She pressed the envelope into my hands. "So I'm protecting you. Use this when you must protect your peace." I tried to ask what she meant, but she was tired. She closed her eyes and drifted off. She died 2 days later, holding my hand. Now, sitting on my bedroom floor, I break the wax seal. Inside are legal documents. Thick, official papers with stamps and signatures. I scan the first page, then the second, my heart starting to pound. It's a deed transfer. The family home, the house my parents have lived in for 30 years, the house where I grew up, the house my grandmother owned outright before my grandfather died, was signed over to me, dated 6 years ago. There's a letter underneath, written in Vera's shaky cursive. "My dearest Jordan, if you're reading this, you've reached a point where you need to choose yourself. I know how that feels. I lived in that house for 40 years, watching my daughter become someone I didn't always recognize, watching her favor one granddaughter while overlooking the other. The house is yours. I signed it over the day you told me about your fertility struggles, when you cried in my arms and said you felt broken. You're not broken, sweetheart. You're just surrounded by people who can't see your value. Your mother doesn't know. I never told her. The house was mine to give, and I gave it to you. Do with it what you need to do. Live in it, sell it, burn it down for all I care. Just promise me one thing. Don't let them take anything else from you. All my love. Grandma Vera." I read the letter 3 times. Then I look at the deed again, checking every page, every signature, every notary stamp. It's real. It's legal. It's mine. The house they're living in. The house where my mother just served pot roast and told me to stop trying so hard. The house where they're, probably right now, celebrating Delilah's accidental pregnancy while my empty bank account mocks me. That house belongs to me. I sit there for a long time, holding the papers. Then I pick up my phone and scroll through my contacts until I find the name I need. Todd Wallace. We went to college together. He's a real estate attorney now, handles property transfers and estate sales. I haven't talked to him in almost a year. I type out a message. "Hey, I know it's late, but I need your help with something. Legal question about inherited property. Can we meet this week?" The response comes 2 minutes later. "Of course. Coffee tomorrow at 10? Same place?" "Perfect. Thank you." I set the phone down and look at the deed again. My grandmother's words echo in my head. "Use this when you must protect your peace." "Okay, Grandma," I whisper. "I'm ready." Todd is already at the coffee shop when I arrive, sitting in our old corner booth. He stands when he sees me, pulling me into a quick hug. "It's been too long," he says. "You look good. Tired, but good." "Thanks, I think." I slide into the booth across from him. He pushes a latte toward me. "Vanilla, right? Some things don't change." I take a sip, grateful. "Some things don't." "So," he folds his hands on the table. "Inherited property. What's going on?" I pull out the deed and slide it across to him. My grandmother left me her house. My parents have been living in it for years, but they don't know it's mine. Todd's eyebrows go up. He starts reading, flipping through pages. His expression shifts from curious to serious. This is ironclad, he says finally. Notarized, filed with the county, everything. When did she transfer it? 6 years ago. She gave me the documents right before she died, but told me not to open them until I needed to. And you need to now? Yes. He leans back, studying me. What do you want to do with it? I want to know what it's worth, and I want to know my options. Options for what? I meet his eyes. For selling it. Todd doesn't flinch, doesn't judge. That's why I called him. Okay, he says, I can get you a market analysis by end of week, and that neighborhood's appreciated a lot. You're probably looking at mid-six figures, maybe more. My stomach flips. That much? Easy. It's a desirable area, good schools, low crime. He taps the deed. Your parents have no legal claim to this. You could sell it tomorrow if you wanted. What about them? Do I have to give them notice? They're not tenants. They're not in the deed. Legally, they're just occupants. He pauses. But Jordan, this is your family. Are you sure they stole my IVF fund to bail out my sister? The words come out flat, hard. $37,000, 6 years of saving. Gone. Todd's jaw tightens. Jesus. And last night, my sister announced she's pregnant. My mother looked at me and said it just happens when you stop trying so hard. Christ, Jordan. So yes, I'm sure. He nods slowly. Okay, I'll get you the numbers. We'll talk through the timeline, the process. But I need you to understand. This is going to blow up your family. I know. I mean, really blow up. Nuclear option. I know. He studies me for another moment, then pulls out his laptop. All right, let's get started. That afternoon, my phone buzzes with a group text. It's from my mother. Family meeting, Sunday at 2 p.m., important baby shower planning. Everyone needs to be there. Delilah responds immediately. Can't wait. My father. Will be ready? I stare at the screen. Then I type. I'll be there. My mother sends back a heart emoji. I set the phone down and laugh. It comes out bitter, sharp. They have no idea. The next few days pass in a strange haze. I go to work. I smile at coworkers. I eat lunch at my desk and review spreadsheets and attend meetings. But underneath, I'm planning. Todd sends me the market analysis on Thursday. The house is worth $680,000, maybe more with the right buyer. This could close in 30, 45 days if we move fast. He texts, You sure you want to do this? Yes. Okay, I'll start prepping the paperwork. We'll need to schedule a walkthrough for photos and inspection. Can we do it when they're not home? You're the owner. You can do it whenever you want. I screenshot the conversation and save it in a folder labeled Future 2.0. Sunday comes. I drive to my parents' house with a box of pastries from the fancy bakery downtown, the kind my mother loves but says are too expensive. She beams when I hand them to her. Oh, Jordan, you didn't have to. I wanted to. I smile. For Delilah. Delilah is on the couch, one hand on her still flat stomach. Eric sits next to her, scrolling through his phone. Hey, she says, not looking up. Hey. My father comes in from the garage. Good, everyone's here. Let's get started. We gather around the dining room table. My mother has a Pinterest board pulled up on her iPad, full of pastel decorations and elaborate cake designs. I'm thinking we host it here, she says, in the backyard. We can set up tables under the oak tree, string lights, maybe rent one of those fancy dessert carts. That sounds beautiful, I say. My mother looks surprised. Really? You think so? Absolutely. This house is perfect for it. I glance around the room at the crown molding and hardwood floors and the bay window overlooking the garden. It's such a special place, full of memories. It really is, my father says quietly. Delilah finally looks up from her phone. So you're okay helping with setup and everything? Of course, whatever you need. My mother reaches over and squeezes my hand. Thank you, honey. I know this must be hard for you. I squeeze back. You have no idea. She smiles, completely missing it. We spend the next hour planning color schemes, guest lists, food options. I volunteer to bring the cake, and the whole time I'm thinking about Todd's text. 30 days. The photographer arrives on Tuesday at 11. I told my parents I had a dentist appointment, so I know they're both at work. Delilah's at her part time job at the boutique. The house is empty. I meet him at the curb. Thanks for coming on short notice. No problem. He's young, maybe 25, with expensive camera equipment. So, you're looking to sell? Yes. I need the listing photos done today if possible. Can do. Let's start with the exterior. I unlock the front door with the key I've had since high school. The house smells like my mother's lavender candles and my father's morning coffee. For a second, I hesitate. Then I remember my empty bank account and step inside. The photographer moves through each room, snapping pictures. Great natural light, hardwoods in good shape. This should sell fast. That's what I'm hoping. He pauses in the living room, looking at the family photos on the mantel. You grew up here? I did. Must be hard to let it go. I pick up a frame. Delilah's college graduation. Everyone's smiling. I'm in the back, barely visible. Not as hard as you'd think. Todd calls that evening. Photos look great. I've already had 2 agents reach out asking if we're taking offers. We haven't even listed it yet. I know. That's how hot this market is. Papers shuffle on his end. I can have it on the MLS by Friday. We should schedule an open house for next weekend. The baby shower's in 3 weeks. Perfect. We can close before then if we get the right buyer. Cash offer would be ideal. No financing contingencies. Faster timeline. Make it happen. Jordan. He pauses. Last chance to back out. Once this goes live, there's no hiding it. I'm not hiding anymore. Okay then, let's do this. The listing goes live Friday at 9 a.m. By noon, there are 15 showing requests. I'm at work when Todd texts. 3 offers already. One's all cash, $695K, 21-day close. My hands shake as I type back. Accept it. You sure? We might get higher if we wait. I don't want to wait. Accept it. Done. I'll send the paperwork. I lock my phone and sit at my desk, staring at nothing. It's happening. It's really happening. My phone buzzes again. The family group chat. Mom, Delilah's ultrasound is today, sending good vibes. Delilah, thanks, Mom. So nervous? Dad, you'll do great, sweetheart. I don't respond. I just watch the messages pile up, each one a reminder of how invisible I am to them. The weekend is a blur of showings and paperwork. Todd handles most of it, but I sign documents in my car during lunch breaks, in coffee shop bathrooms, anywhere my parents won't see. The cash buyer, a young couple relocating for work, wants to move fast. They waive the inspection. They don't care about the outdated kitchen or the crack in the driveway. They love it, Todd says. They're ready to close in 18 days. 18 days. I do the math. That's 2 days after the baby shower. Cutting it close. No, it's perfect. Sunday dinner at my parents' house. I bring wine and a fruit tart. Play the dutiful daughter. Delilah shows us ultrasound pictures. Look, you can see the little nose, my mother cries. My father gets misty-eyed. Eric looks proud. Have you thought about names? I ask. We're thinking Madison for a girl, Delilah says. Or maybe Harper. Those are beautiful. My mother turns to me. You're being so supportive, honey. I really appreciate it. Of course, she's my sister. See, Wallace, I told you she'd come around. My mother pats my hand. Family is everything. I smile and take a sip of wine. My phone vibrates in my pocket. I glance down under the table. Todd. Inspection waived. Appraisal ordered. We're on track. I slip the phone back into my pocket. Everything okay? My father asks. Just work stuff. Nothing important. We finish dinner. I help clear the dishes, kiss my mother's cheek goodbye. See you next week for shower prep, she calls as I leave. Wouldn't miss it. 12 days before the shower, I get the email I've been waiting for. Closing confirmed. Friday, May 19th, 10 a.m. The baby shower is Saturday the 20th. I forward the email to Todd with one line. Schedule the new owners to take possession on the 21st. He responds immediately. You're really doing this? Yes. Okay, I'll coordinate with their moving company. They want to be in by the 23rd. Perfect. I close my laptop and look around my apartment. At the empty walls and the second bedroom I've been afraid to furnish. At the space I've been too scared to fill with hope. Not anymore. I open my banking app and look at the pending wire transfer, $695,000, minus Todd's fees and closing costs. More than enough to fund my IVF. More than enough to start over. More than enough to build the life they tried to take from me. I screenshot it and save it in my Future 2.0 folder. Then I open the family group chat and type, "Can't wait for the shower. It's going to be perfect." The morning of the baby shower is perfect. 72 degrees, cloudless sky, a light breeze that makes the string lights sway gently over the backyard. I arrive at 9 to help set up. My mother is already in full hostess mode, directing my father as he arranges folding chairs. Jordan, thank God you're here. Can you help me with the tablecloths? Of course. We work in comfortable silence for a while, spreading pale pink linens over rented tables. My mother hums while she works, genuinely happy. This is going to be so special, she says. Delilah deserves this. I smooth out a wrinkle in the fabric. She does. And maybe, she glances at me, maybe seeing all this will inspire you. You know, about having a family. Maybe. She squeezes my shoulder. Don't give up hope, honey. Miracles happen. I think about the wire transfer that hit my account yesterday, about the closing documents signed and notarized, about the new owners who are probably packing their moving truck right now. You're right, I say. They do. Guests start arriving at noon. Aunts, cousins, Delilah's friends from high school. They coo over the decorations, the dessert table, the gift display. I float between groups, smiling, making small talk. My cousin Martina corners me by the punch bowl. You okay? She asks quietly. You seem, I don't know, different. I'm fine, just tired. If you need to leave early, I'll cover for you. I squeeze her arm. Thanks, but I'm not going anywhere. I want to see how this ends. She gives me a strange look, but doesn't push. Delilah arrives at 1, wearing a flowing white dress that makes her look ethereal. Everyone applauds. She blushes and waves, playing the princess. Eric trails behind her, carrying her purse and a light sweater. You look beautiful, my mother gushes, pulling her into a hug. Thanks, Mom. This is amazing. You did all this? Jordan helped. My mother gestures to me. She's been wonderful. Delilah meets my eyes. Thanks, sis. Anything for family? We play the games. Guess the baby food flavor, diaper raffle, the price is right with baby items. Delilah wins most of them, laughing and glowing. I watch from the edge of the patio, checking my phone every few minutes. Todd, new owners. Confirmed, moving truck scheduled for 8 a.m. Monday. Me, perfect. Todd, you still good with this? Me, never been better. At 2:30, it's time for gifts. Delilah sits in a decorated chair while everyone else circles around. She opens packages one by one, clothes, blankets, bottles, a stroller, a crib mobile. This is too much, she keeps saying. You guys are too generous. My mother dabs at her eyes. You deserve all of it, sweetheart. I wait until she's almost done. Then I stand and retrieve my gift from the table, a large box wrapped in silver paper. This one's from me. Delilah's eyes light up. Jordan, you didn't have to get me anything big. I wanted to. She tears into the paper. Inside is a handmade baby blanket, cream-colored with delicate embroidery along the edges. In the center, stitched in elegant script, miracle. The crowd awes. It's beautiful, Delilah whispers, running her fingers over the stitching. I had it custom made, I say, since Mom's always talking about miracles. My mother beams. That's perfect, Jordan. Absolutely perfect. Delilah stands and hugs me. Thank you, really. I hug her back, breathing in her perfume, feeling her happiness radiate. You're welcome, I say softly. Enjoy it. At 3 o'clock, I'm helping my mother bring out the cake when I hear a car door slam in the driveway. I glance toward the front of the house. A white pickup truck is parked at the curb. My heart starts pounding. A man in khakis and a polo shirt walks up the driveway carrying a wooden sign and a mallet. Can I help you? My father calls from the backyard gate. The man doesn't answer. He just walks onto the front lawn, positions the sign, and starts hammering it into the ground. Guests begin to notice. Conversations fade. Everyone turns to look. The man finishes hammering and steps back, surveying his work. The sign reads, sold below it in smaller letters, new owners take possession. May 23rd. My mother's face goes white. What? What is that? The man pulls out a clipboard. I'm looking for the property owner. Is there a Jordan here? Every head turns toward me. I set down the cake platter and walk toward him, my heels clicking on the stone path. That's me. He hands me the clipboard. Just need your signature confirming the sign placement. Congratulations on the sale. I sign without looking at my family. Thank you. New owners are excited. Great property. He tips his head and walks back to his truck. The silence is deafening. Delilah stands up from her chair. Jordan? What's going on? I turn to face them all. My parents, my sister, Eric, the aunts and cousins and friends. 50 people staring at me. The house is sold, I say calmly. Closing was yesterday. New owners move in Monday. My father's face goes from confused to horrified. That's not possible. This is our house. No, I say. It's not. My mother rushes toward the sign like she can make it disappear by getting close enough. This is a mistake. Wallace, call someone. Call the police. It's not a mistake, Mom. She spins around. What are you talking about? I pull out my phone and open the Photos app. Scroll to the deed. Hold it up so she can see. Grandma Vera signed the house over to me 6 years ago. It's been mine this whole time. My father grabs the phone from my hand, squinting at the screen. His face drains of color. This can't be real. It's real, notarized, filed with the county, completely legal. Todd verified everything. Todd? My mother's voice rises. You involved a lawyer? He's a real estate attorney. I needed one to sell my property. Your property? She's shaking now. This is our home. We've lived here for 30 years. You've lived in Grandma's house for 30 years. She owned it outright, and she gave it to me. Delilah steps forward, one hand on her stomach. Jordan, this is insane. You can't just, I already did. Sold it for $695,000. Closed yesterday. The new owners take possession Monday morning at 8. The backyard erupts. Aunts gasp. Cousins whisper. Someone drops a plate. My father's hands are trembling. Why would she do that? Why would Mom give you the house? Because I took care of her every single day for 3 years while you two were too busy, while Delilah couldn't be bothered to visit. My voice stays level, calm. She wanted to make sure I was protected. Protected from what? My mother shrieks. From you. The words land like a slap. She actually stumbles backward. From us? We're your parents. You stole from me. I look at each of them. $37,000, 6 years of my life, my only chance at having a child, and you took it without asking to bail out Delilah's mess. Eric shifts uncomfortably. Delilah won't meet my eyes. We were going to pay you back, my father says weakly. When? You haven't mentioned it once since it happened. Not once. I turn to my mother. And then you had the audacity to tell me I just need to stop trying so hard. At dinner, while celebrating Delilah's accidental pregnancy. My mother's face flushes red. I was trying to help. You were being cruel, and you didn't even realize it. So this is revenge? Delilah's voice cracks. You're making us homeless because your feelings got hurt? My feelings? I laugh, and it sounds harsh even to my own ears. You think this is about feelings? You destroyed my future. I'm just taking back what was always mine. My father looks at the house, then back at me. Where are we supposed to go? I don't know, Dad. Where was I supposed to get $37,000 for IVF after you gave mine away? That's different. How? How's it different? He has no answer. My mother's face twists. You selfish, vindictive. Careful, Mom. My voice drops. You're at my baby shower, on my property, in front of all these witnesses. She stops, mouth open, realizing what she was about to say. I turn to Martina, who's standing frozen by the dessert table. I'm leaving now. You should probably leave too. She nods quickly, grabbing her purse. Jordan? Wait. Delilah reaches for me. I step back. Congratulations on your miracle, Delilah. I hope it works out better than mine did. Please, we can figure this out. There's nothing to figure out. The house is sold. You have until Monday morning to be out. I look at my parents. I'd start packing if I were you. My mother's face crumples. After everything we've done for you, everything you've done for me? The words come out quiet, deadly. You mean like stealing my money? Like dismissing my pain? Like always choosing her over me? We never. You always did, my whole life. And I accepted it because I thought that's what family meant. But Grandma Vera taught me something different. She taught me that family protects you. Family sees you. Family doesn't take everything and leave you with nothing. I start walking toward the gate. Martina follows close behind. Jordan, my father's voice breaks. Please, don't do this. I stop at the gate and turn back one last time. The backyard is frozen, pink decorations swaying in the breeze, cake sitting untouched, presents scattered around Delilah's empty chair. I already did. My phone starts buzzing before I even reach my car. I silence it and drive away, watching the house disappear in my rearview mirror. Martina sits beside me, quiet for a long moment. Finally, she says, "That was the most badass thing I've ever seen." I grip the steering wheel tighter. Thanks for leaving with me. Are you kidding? I wouldn't have missed that for anything. She pauses. Are you okay? I think about the question, about the money in my account, about the IVF consultation scheduled for Tuesday. Yeah, I say, I really am. Tuesday morning, I sit in Dr. Reeves' office at the fertility clinic. It's the same waiting room I've been to a dozen times before, but everything feels different now. The receptionist smiles when I check in. Good to see you again, Jordan. It's been a while. It has. Dr. Reeves is running a few minutes behind. Can I get you anything? Water? Coffee? I'm fine, thank you. I sit in the corner chair, the same one I always choose. My phone has 43 unread messages. I don't open any of them. Dr. Reeves is a small woman with kind eyes and steady hands. She's been my doctor since I first started exploring fertility treatments 4 years ago. Jordan? She shakes my hand warmly. I'm so glad you called. Come on back. Her office is exactly as I remember, diplomas on the wall, a small, succulent garden on the windowsill, photos of babies she's helped bring into the world. So, she sits across from me. You mentioned on the phone that you're ready to move forward with IVF. Yes? And your financial situation has changed? Significantly. She pulls up my file on her computer. Last time we spoke, cost was the primary barrier. You'd been saving, but I have the money now. I pull out my phone and show her my bank statement. All of it. For a full cycle, medications, everything. Her eyebrows raise. That's wonderful. May I ask what changed? I sold some property. She doesn't push for details. Okay, well, let's talk about next steps. We'll need to run some updated blood work, do an ultrasound, make sure everything looks good. Then we can start you on medications and schedule your egg retrieval. How soon can we start? If your tests come back normal, we could begin medications next week. Retrieval would be about 2 weeks after that. My hands are shaking. I press them flat against my thighs. Okay. Jordan. She leans forward. I need to ask, are you in a good place emotionally to do this? IVF is physically demanding, but it's also incredibly stressful. Do you have support? I think about my empty apartment, about my parents' frantic voicemails, about Delilah's texts begging me to reconsider. I have myself, I say. That's enough. She studies me for a moment, then nods. All right, let's get you started. The blood work takes 20 minutes, the ultrasound, another 15. Dr. Reeves reviews everything while I sit in her office, still in the paper gown. Everything looks good. She says finally. Your hormone levels are excellent. Ovarian reserve is strong. I don't see any reason we can't proceed. So, we're doing this. We're doing this. She hands me a folder thick with paperwork, consent forms, medication instructions, appointment schedules. Read through everything tonight. Sign what needs signing, bring it back tomorrow, and we'll get your prescriptions ordered. I take the folder with both hands. It's heavy, real. Thank you, I whisper. Thank me when you're holding your baby. She smiles. I have a good feeling about this, Jordan. I really do. I'm walking to my car when my phone rings. Not a number I recognize, but a local area code. I answer. Hello? Jordan? It's your dad. I stop walking. How did you get this number? I'm calling from a friend's phone. You blocked us. Yes, I did. Please, just listen for a minute. Your mother and we need to talk to you. We need to figure this out. There's nothing to figure out. The house is sold. The new owners move in yesterday. I know, we're at a hotel right now, but Jordan, we can't afford. You should have thought about that before you stole from me. We made a mistake. We know that now. But please, you have to understand. I don't have to understand anything. My voice is ice. You made your choice. You chose Delilah. You always choose Delilah. That's not true. Dad, I have to go. Wait, your mother wants to apologize. She's right here. Just talk to her for 1 minute. I hang up, block the number, keep walking. That night, I spread the IVF paperwork across my kitchen table, consent forms, risk disclosures, payment agreements. I read every word, sign every line. My phone buzzes. An email from the new homeowner's realtor. Subject, early move-in complete. Hi, Jordan. Just wanted to let you know the previous occupants vacated the property this morning. The house is now in our client's possession. They're thrilled with their new home. Thank you for such a smooth transaction. Best regards, Sandra. I stare at the email for a long time. Then I open my photos and scroll until I find the picture of my grandmother. She's in her garden, hands covered in soil, smiling at the camera. I took it the summer before she got sick. I set the photo as my phone's wallpaper. Thank you, Grandma, I say to the empty apartment, for protecting me, for seeing me. My phone buzzes again. Another voicemail, another text. I silence it and go back to my paperwork. Tomorrow I'll start medications. In 2 weeks, egg retrieval. In 3 weeks, maybe, hopefully, embryo transfer. My future is finally mine again. And I built it from the ashes of theirs. The egg retrieval goes perfectly. 18 eggs, 14 fertilize. By day 5, I have 7 viable embryos. Dr. Reeves calls with the results herself. Jordan, these are excellent numbers, really excellent. Are you ready for transfer? I'm standing in my new apartment, a 2-bedroom with big windows and a small balcony. The second bedroom is still empty, but I've been looking at cribs online. Yes, I say. I'm ready. The transfer happens on a Thursday. They implant 2 embryos. Dr. Reeves says it gives me the best chance. I lie still on the table afterward, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of possibility in my body. Rest today, Dr. Reeves says. Take it easy for the next few days. We'll do a blood test in 10 days to see if it took. And if it didn't, then we try again. You have 5 more embryos frozen, but let's think positive. I nod, not trusting my voice. I'm in the waiting period, the 2 weeks between transfer and test, when I see the Facebook post. It's from Delilah, a photo of her in front of a small apartment building, holding a key, trying to smile. The caption reads, "New beginnings. Everything happens for a reason." The comments are full of confused friends asking what happened to her parents' house. She hasn't responded to any of them. I scroll further. My mother has unfriended me. My father's account is deactivated. Martina texts, "Did you see Delilah's post?" Me. "Yeah." Martina. "She's in a 1-bedroom in the bad part of town. Eric's working 2 jobs. Your parents are staying with your Aunt Linda." Me. "Good." Martina. "You're ice cold." I love it. I set the phone down and look around my apartment. At the soft gray couch I bought last week. At the framed photos on the wall. Me and Vera, me and Martina, me at the Grand Canyon on a solo trip 2 years ago. No family photos. Not anymore. Day 9 after transfer, I wake up nauseous. I tell myself it's the hormones. It doesn't mean anything. Day 10, Dr. Reeves's office calls at 8 a.m. Can you come in for your blood draw? I'll be there in an hour. The waiting room is full of other women, all of us in various stages of hope and fear. I recognize a few faces from previous visits. We exchange small smiles but don't talk. The phlebotomist is quick and gentle. Results should be in by this afternoon. Dr. Reeves will call you personally. I'm at work when my phone rings at 2:15. I step into an empty conference room. Jordan? Dr. Reeves' voice is warm. Congratulations. You're pregnant. The room tilts. I sit down hard in a chair. What? Your HCG levels are excellent. Strong numbers. This is a very good sign. I'm pregnant. I say it out loud, testing the words. You are. We'll need you to come back in 2 days for another blood draw to make sure the numbers are rising appropriately. Then we'll schedule an ultrasound for next week. Okay. How are you feeling? I press my hand to my stomach. Scared. Happy. I don't know. That's completely normal. Call me if you need anything. Anything at all. I hang up and sit in the conference room for 20 minutes, just breathing. Then I call Martina. I'm pregnant. She screams so loud I have to pull the phone away from my ear. Oh my God! Jordan! Oh my God! I know. Are you okay? Are you happy? What do you need? I'm okay. I'm really okay. I'm coming over tonight. I'm bringing food and we're celebrating. Okay. I'm so proud of you, she says, and her voice cracks. You did this. You actually did it. That evening, my phone buzzes with a voicemail. Unknown number. I almost delete it. But something makes me listen. It's my father. His voice is rough, tired. Jordan, it's Dad. I know you don't want to hear from me. I know you probably won't even listen to this, but I need to say it anyway. He pauses. You were right. About everything. We took you for granted. We took from you, and we didn't even see what we were doing until it was too late. Another pause. I can hear him breathing. Your mother's not doing well. She won't admit it, but losing the house, losing you, it's broken something in her, in both of us. His voice drops. I don't expect you to forgive us. I don't even know if we deserve forgiveness, but I want you to know that I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The message ends. I stand on my balcony, phone in hand, looking out at the city lights. I don't call back. I don't text. I don't reach out. Instead, I go to the second bedroom and turn on the light. I pull up the crib I've been looking at and add it to my cart. Then, I open my photos and look at the ultrasound picture from today. Just a tiny blob, barely visible, but there. Real. Mine. I think about my grandmother's letter. Don't let them take anything else from you. I didn't. I place my hand on my stomach and whisper, We did it, Grandma. We're going to be okay. Outside, the city hums with life. Inside, I'm building something new. Something they can never touch. Something that's finally completely mine. I smile, and for the first time in years, it reaches all the way to my heart.
My name is Scarlett, and at the beginning of last year, I enjoyed gourmet meals a bit too much, resulting in a weight gain of 5 kilograms. Now, at 43, I'm on a diet in preparation for the upcoming holiday season. My plan is simple: lose the weight now so that indulging over the holidays won't set me back. It seems like a perfect strategy, doesn't it? With the tempting treats from Christmas to New Year's, it's a delightful dilemma to face. I might even treat myself to some Valentine's chocolates. Yes, I'm already salivating at the thought. It looks like this year, like every other, might end with a few extra pounds. Today, I want to share a winter tale with you, one from when I was 23. After dating for several years, my engagement to my boyfriend David was on the horizon. The time had come for him to meet my parents, a formal introduction that hinted at upcoming nuptials. My parents were fond of David, paving the way for smooth discussions about our future. However, an unexpected twist occurred when my older sister Amara, who is 3 years my senior, returned from work. It was clear from the onset that she was inexplicably drawn to David. Sisters have a way of reading each other, and it didn't take long for me to realize that Amara had fallen for David at first sight. I hoped it was a fleeting crush, but during their introduction, she blushed deeply and clung to his hand. Her dreamy expressions didn't escape me. As inappropriate as it seemed for her to act this way towards my fiancé, I chalked it up to an uncontrollable crush and chose to overlook it, believing Amara wouldn't act on her feelings. But things escalated after David left. Fresh out of the shower and wrapped only in a towel, Amara confronted me, demanding I break off the engagement. She accused David of being a philanderer and insisted I could find someone better. Despite her claims, she had no evidence to back them up, relying solely on a woman's intuition. Considering Amara had never been in a relationship, I found it hard to take her intuition seriously. After years of knowing David, I trusted him and his integrity, choosing to focus on our relationship rather than the drama unfolding with my sister. Of course, I didn't take my sister's warnings too seriously and just brushed them off with a nonchalant, "Yeah, I'll be careful." Since that conversation, David began visiting our house more often. He expressed a genuine desire to foster a strong bond with my family, which I found endearing. I was hopeful that this would help him build a positive relationship with my parents, as they were quite pleased with him, and I envisioned a harmonious future together. However, things took a rather awkward turn due to my sister's actions. According to David, whenever I was not around, she would behave overly familiarly with him, grabbing his arm, pressing close, and even questioning my maturity to him, asking, "Don't you think Scarlett is a bit immature?" She went as far as to ask for his contact details and once accidentally fell in a way that exposed her underwear. David found these antics more comical than alluring, which was a relief, because it could have been concerning if he were the type of man to respond to such advances. Despite her forwardness, my sister perhaps believed she had a chance with David because he couldn't outright reject her without causing a family issue, considering she was my sister. Each time they met, she would sweetly call out, "Hey," trying to win him over not just because it was love at first sight for her, but also because David worked at a reputable large company. She seemed to think he was the perfect catch who could provide a secure future. "He's dependable, has the kind of face I adore, and is a good man," she would say, clearly smitten by him. Amidst all this, my parents didn't say a word about her inappropriate behavior. This silence wasn't new. They have always been somewhat passive when it came to addressing my sister's antics. Historically, she has been the sibling who never quite got things right. For example, when asked to heat side dishes, she'd mistakenly use a plastic dish that wasn't heat-resistant and end up melting it. Academically and athletically, she also fell short, often skipping swimming classes with a variety of excuses, whether it was a hurt foot, feeling unwell, or skin issues. And household chores were no different. She never had a knack for those either. In truth, her looks were nothing extraordinary either, but despite all these shortcomings, my sister had always managed to be the center of some kind of drama, just like now with David. As the eldest daughter, my sister has always received special treatment from our parents. They seem to have subtly assigned me the role of supporting her behind the scenes. I've often been encouraged to let her shine while I remain in the background, a directive I find quite unfair. It appears that my parents might view her as somewhat incapable and perhaps pity her more because of this, which only drives their indulgence. I, on the other hand, have always been efficient and capable of handling tasks swiftly. Perhaps for the adults, there's no allure in mentoring someone who already excels independently. Thus, making my sister's needs a priority and occasionally downplaying my abilities in public became second nature to me. However, as I matured and realized the importance of my achievements, especially when it came to academics, I began to resist this family dynamic. If I had continued to conform to their expectations, I might have ended up undermining my capabilities. My slight rebellion seemed to cause a rift with my sister, as she felt a loss of support. Yet, our relationship wasn't deeply strained. We could still converse normally, and I often offered her advice on various matters. Our family dynamic had its quirks, with overprotectiveness toward my sister and some resentment brewing from her end, but I still considered us a perfectly normal family. However, the equilibrium was disturbed when David, my fiancé, did not return my sister's affection. Her frustration peaked on the eve of our wedding when she expressed a common sentiment about sibling marriage order to our parents, lamenting, "I can't accept that my younger sister is getting married before me." My parents tried to soothe her, assuring, "Don't worry, you'll find a good partner soon too, Amara." Despite their reassurances, the idea that the elder sister should marry first and that it was too soon for me to do so was a point of contention that lingered in the air. "But the wedding is tomorrow, isn't it? What are you saying, Mom? Don't you care about me? I'm going to be the pitiful older sister who gets surpassed by her younger sister," my sister lamented. That night, I overheard the heated discussion between her and our parents from the hallway. Was it really necessary for her to marry before me? If I had waited for her, I would have lost precious years. Her outburst seemed a bit extreme to me. After voicing her concerns, I thought she would calm down, but instead, she made a startling demand. "Mom and Dad will not attend the wedding tomorrow. So please be satisfied with that, Amara." I was shocked. Both my parents had agreed not to come to my wedding to appease my sister. It felt like they were adherents of a cult where my sister wielded undue influence. This was beyond simple indulgence. "Fine, I'll compromise. Let her have a wedding that nobody acknowledges," my sister grudgingly conceded. It was clear she didn't want me to marry David, likely because she harbored feelings for him herself. The reality set in, a wedding without my parents present, all due to my sister's unrequited affection. The wedding day was anything but joyful for me. Anxiety kept me awake the night before, not anticipation, but dread from recalling the distressing conversation between my sister and my parents. I couldn't erase the image of my sister's smug smile when she heard our parents wouldn't attend. At the venue, I had the painful task of explaining to David and his parents why mine wouldn't be there. "I apologize, but my sister opposes this marriage, so my family will not be attending," I told them. It was a heart-wrenching announcement to make. My in-laws were stunned, hardly believing that there were parents who would choose not to attend their daughter's wedding. They were silent, absorbing the weight of the situation. Feeling the heavy atmosphere, my mother-in-law took my hand, and my father-in-law placed his hand on top of ours. "Remember that your family is here. Don't make this day a sad one. Come on, why don't you smile?" my mother-in-law said warmly, offering the support and love that was missing from my own family at that moment. As I stood there on my wedding day, tears began to well up in my eyes, but David came to my side, gently stroking my head, and reassured me. "Marianne, I'm here as your husband, so please don't worry about who isn't here." Seeing me start to cry, my in-laws and David quickly tried to lift my spirits. "Don't cry, you're the bride and your makeup will run," they said, half joking to lighten the mood. Then my mother-in-law looked at me earnestly and advised, "Marianne, it might be tough with your family situation, but you're starting a new life today. A wonderful beginning. Let's focus on building your own family." Despite feeling abandoned, I felt a firm embrace from my mother-in-law, followed by David and my father-in-law joining in. I reassured myself, just as my mother-in-law had said, this was a new beginning. I resolved to build my own happy family. That day, David and I got married, marking the start of our life together. 13 years have passed since then. David and I have been blessed with 3 children, a capable daughter who seems to handle anything that comes her way, and 2 mischievous sons who love to stir up a bit of chaos around the house. Sometimes I catch myself shouting, "Stop it now," and it surprises even me how much I sound like a mom in command. David's career has flourished, we've bought a house, and we've been living a stable, contented life. Then, one day, unexpected figures appeared on our doorstep, my father, mother, and sister. After the wedding, I kept my distance from my family and didn't share my new address with them. But somehow, they found us and showed up unannounced. Of course, the words that greeted them weren't warm, like "long time no see," but rather, "What do you want?" To which my sister replied, "I have a favor to ask of you." My parents chimed in, "It's something only you can do for us. looking at me earnestly. I was bewildered, wondering what they could possibly need from me after 13 years of estrangement. I remained silent, half curious and half fearful, as my mother spoke up. "We want you to give David to your sister." Both David and I were shocked by her words. "Wait a minute, what do you mean I need to give David away?" I asked, utterly confused and alarmed by the bizarre request. When I sharply questioned them, my parents looked away guiltily, while my sister stood there smug and proud. Despite being 40 and still single, she seemed unfazed by her circumstances, which now included unemployment since her company had recently folded. "It's tough," my father explained. "We're worried about your sister's future, being single and jobless. We hope you understand. As sisters, you should feel the same." Internally, I rebuffed their reasoning with a firm "no, I don't think so," but remained outwardly silent, curious to see what they would say next. My frustration grew as my father spoke slowly, each word more absurd than the last. "She's always liked David, and she's still alone because of that. You've had your time with David, haven't you? Could you please let your sister have him for the rest of her life?" "What do you mean?" I asked, incredulous. David was equally shocked, struggling for words. Meanwhile, my parents continued to plead, and my sister maintained her haughty demeanor, convinced she would get what she wanted. Given my parents' history of indulging her, it wasn't surprising she believed this ludicrous request would be fulfilled. As I stood there, dumbfounded, David pulled me aside and whispered, "This might actually be a chance to put an end to all this. Remember that joke you made when you were drunk? It's like it's coming to life." Emboldened, we faced my family again. "Do you really love David that much?" I asked her. Taken aback by my direct question, my sister stammered, visibly shocked. "Yes, I really have loved him all this time." "That's quite a long time to continue loving someone who's married to another," I noted. Her response was filled with conviction. "It's been very painful watching you two together. It should have been me." Stunned by her intense words, David and I struggled to maintain our composure. I decided to play along with the charade a bit longer. "If you love him that much, I'll step aside," I declared, shocking everyone, especially our parents. "Really? Don't you love David too?" my mother quickly interjected. "No." "Actually," David chimed in, playing his part, "to tell you the truth, I've always had feelings for Amara." My sister's face lit up with delight. "Really?" "I knew it." This surreal exchange left everyone reeling as David and I watched their reactions, barely keeping ourselves from laughing at the absurdity of the situation we had orchestrated. The reality was, of course, that David and I were securely united, but sometimes, going along with a ludicrous scenario was the only way to highlight its ridiculousness. As I hugged David, I noticed his eyes shimmering with a playful love. "I've been waiting for this moment," he said, his voice quivering with suppressed laughter. Beside me, David feigned crying, but his shaking shoulders gave him away. "We just have to get through this little performance," I whispered. "We'll always be together from now on." Suddenly, my sister began to speak to David as if they had been intimate for years. It sounded so natural, as if, in her mind, she had been living a romantic saga with David for the past 13 years. "Amara, I'm happy. Please be my support from now on," David said with a grin. "Yes, absolutely," she replied eagerly. "So, I'm going to quit my job." "Really?" David's announcement wiped the blush from my sister's face, replacing it with shock. "I want to be with you, Amara. All the time. So, I'm quitting my job to always be by your side. I won't even go outside anymore. I'll follow you to the bathroom and watch you do housework." David's cheerful tone left my sister flustered and panicking. Our parents, too, couldn't hide their disturbance. "But I'm not working either, and this is troubling," she stammered. "What's troubling? If we're together, we have nothing to fear. We don't need money to be happy," David continued, pushing the absurdity further. "But nowadays we need to pay for insurance, right? It's not like the old times. We can't love each other if there's no money." Seizing the moment, I chimed in. "David, if we do end up divorcing, I'll be taking a generous share of the assets, so you better pay up." Don't worry, your sister and parents will take care of the payments, David replied with a laugh. Hearing this, our parents went pale and looked at each other in disbelief. Amara, this is hard to say, but this isn't right. Stealing a husband from your sister. Exactly, Amara. That is indeed the case. But where had all the previous passion gone? It was as if our parents had suddenly come to their senses. What are you talking about? You promised to give David to me. Amara protested. But Amara, that was before. I don't want to hear it, our mother interjected. Doesn't anyone support me? As my sister ranted, she grabbed our mother's hair, and my father struggled to mediate the chaos. In the commotion, David calmly captured everyone's attention. Honestly, you're not my type. I respect you as Marianne's sister, but apart from that, I don't want to interact much with you. Especially that upward gaze you give, it actually turns me off. The thought that someone harbors unrequited feelings for me is quite difficult. David's candid remarks left both my sister and our parents speechless. But David, what was all that earlier? Amara demanded. Please stop being so casual with someone else's husband. There's no way he could fall for you. I concluded firmly, putting an end to the absurdity that had spiraled far beyond a mere family dispute. As I watched my sister walk towards David with a pale face, I intervened. We have a family, and we are living happily. Her steps halted as she turned to face me. What? You tricked me, she exclaimed. How can you think someone who hasn't contacted you for 13 years loves you? Isn't that unrealistic? I challenged her, hoping to inject some sense into the situation. Her face flushed red, and tears of frustration welled in her eyes. If you were truly an attractive prospect, maybe. But no one finds charm in someone unemployed, dependent on their parents, and lacks any self-sufficiency because her mother has always done everything for her. I continued, my words sharp and unyielding. David snickered quietly behind me, understanding the reality of the words. Struck by the truth, my sister's frustration turned to loud crying, her tears unstoppable. Our parents, attempting to console her, looked on with expressions of dawning realization and confusion, as if finally acknowledging the harsh truth of the situation. Therefore, I'm not handing over David. Please give up, Amara, I stated firmly. At this, my sister's crying intensified, her sobs childlike and unseemly for an adult. Take this experience as a lesson and please don't involve yourself with us again. No matter how much trouble you find yourself in the future, don't expect any help from us, I declared, feeling the finality of my words as I slowly closed the front door. When my children asked what had happened, I responded lightly, it's Halloween season, so it seems a ghost came early. My eldest child suggested, let's exorcise the spirit. Although I dismissed the idea, it almost felt real, with the echoes of my sister's wails sounding like a tormented ghost outside. Another 4 years passed, and my sister remained single. She managed to find a job, but her inappropriate behavior eventually led to her dismissal. Her rush into marriage and the resultant troubles got her banned from matchmaking events. It seems likely she might stay single for life. My parents are still working part-time, tirelessly saving money for her sake. They probably realize now that they can't rely on her for their future care. I hope they understand the consequences of their indulgence after all their hard work. As a homemaker, I've been fortunate not to worry about my children's school fees, thanks to their brilliance and my husband's stable job. Sometimes I do wonder if having a job outside the home would help me shed the extra calories I tend to gain during the festive season. My daughter, who is naturally slim and now hitting her growth spurt, has started talking about dieting, but I encourage her to hold off. Think about that when you're older, like me, I tell her. My 2 sons are passionate about dancing and have recently made a splash at a local event, bagging several awards. Brimming with confidence, they dream of one day joining BTS, so I find myself hoping that the band stays together long enough for my boys to have a shot at their dream. We are blessed with regular visits from my in-laws, who are as dear to me as my parents. We relish the delightful meals we share. With spring break on the horizon, we're planning a spa trip, eagerly anticipating some quality family time. Despite the challenges I faced before marriage, My life now is brimming with happiness, strengthening the genuine bonds of family. I cherish the happiness that fills my days and look forward to many more years of health and togetherness, hoping to share countless precious moments with our loved ones.
I always thought I was doing the right thing by my family. Funny how being a good daughter can be your biggest mistake. My name is Maggie, and 6 months ago, I bought a duplex in a quiet neighborhood just outside of Portland. It wasn't my dream home, but it had potential. 2 identical units, separate entrances, shared backyard. The real estate agent kept talking about rental income, but I had different plans. My parents had been struggling since Dad lost his job, and Mum's part-time work at the library barely covered their groceries. "Miha, we can't accept this," Mum said when I first showed them the back unit. She was already examining the kitchen cabinets with a critical eye. "It's too much." "It's not charity," I told her. "Think of it as an investment in family." Dad stood in the doorway, hands in his pockets. "Your mother's right, Maggie. We raised you to be independent, not to take care of us." But they moved in anyway. Of course they did. The alternative was moving in with my younger brother Chris and his girlfriend Nina in their cramped 1-bedroom apartment. That would have lasted about 2 days before someone got murdered. The first month was almost perfect. Mom planted herbs in the backyard, Dad fixed things around both units, and I felt like I'd finally done something meaningful with my engineering salary. Then the comments started. "The morning light is so much better in your unit," Mom mentioned during our weekly coffee. "The back unit feels like a cave sometimes." I stirred my coffee. "They're mirror images, Mom. The layout is exactly the same." "Maybe, but yours faces east. It makes such a difference." The following week, "Your kitchen has more counter space." "It doesn't actually," I measured. "Well, it feels bigger." She sighed. "But we're grateful. We don't want to seem ungrateful. Emma, my best friend, warned me over lunch at work. They're going to take advantage of your kindness. That's what family does." "Not my family," I insisted. "They're just adjusting." Emma just gave me that look, the one that said, "You sweet summer child," without actually saying it. But life settled into a routine. I'd wave to Mum when I left for work, help Dad with the yard work on weekends, and pretend not to notice the growing list of complaints about their unit. The rent I wasn't charging them was never mentioned, but the free maintenance, utilities, and Wi-Fi became expected rather than appreciated. Then came the day I found my front door slightly ajar. I always lock up. Always. Heart pounding, I pushed the door open slowly, scanning for signs of a break-in. Nothing seemed disturbed in the living room. The TV was still there. My laptop sat untouched on the coffee table. But something felt off. In the kitchen, I found it, a glossy pamphlet sitting on my counter. Creating the Perfect Nursery, From Dream to Reality. The cover showed a perfectly staged baby room with soft yellow walls and white furniture. I don't have children. I'm not pregnant. I'm not even dating anyone. "Mum," I called out, walking to the connecting door between our units. "Did you come into my place today?" "Just for a minute, Miha." Her voice drifted through. "I was looking for the measuring tape. I thought you might have it." "What's this nursery pamphlet doing on my counter?" A pause. "Oh, Nina must have left that. She and Chris stopped by earlier." My stomach dropped. They were in my unit. Just for a moment, Nina wanted to see the layout. You know they're thinking about starting a family soon. I stood there, holding the pamphlet, trying to process what she wasn't saying. Why would my brother's girlfriend need to see my layout? Why were they measuring things in my home while I was at work? "Next time," I said, keeping my voice steady, "please don't let anyone into my unit without asking me first." Maggie, don't be so dramatic. We're family. Hoi's you family." The word that was supposed to mean everything, but somehow always ended up costing me something. I looked down at the pamphlet again, at the perfect little nursery that someone had apparently been imagining in my space. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. "Girl, you need to see what Nina just posted on Instagram." I had a feeling my quiet life was about to get very complicated. Nina's Instagram story showed her spinning in what was unmistakably my master bathroom. "Future home tour," read the caption, complete with heart emojis. The cream-coloured tiles I'd picked out myself were clearly visible behind her. I replayed it 3 times before calling Emma. "Tell me I'm not crazy," I said when she picked up. "You're not crazy. That's definitely your bathroom. What the hell is going on?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text. It was from Chris, but clearly not meant for me. "Mum says Mags will cave once we explain. She's always been practical about these things." My hand shook as I screenshot it. A second later, "Sorry, sis, wrong chat." I marched straight to my parents' unit and knocked. Hard. Mum opened the door, already wearing that expression, the one that said she was prepared to explain why whatever she'd done was actually for the best. "We need to talk," I said, walking past her into their living room. Dad was in his usual spot on the recliner, pretending to be absorbed in his crossword puzzle. "About what, Misha?" I held up my phone, showing Nina's video. "About why my brother's girlfriend is giving tours of my home on social media." Mum sat down, smoothing her skirt. "We were going to discuss this with you properly. Chris and Nina are ready to start a family. They need more space. And your unit would be perfect for them. The back unit is fine for one person. You're always at work anyway." The casual way she said it, like she was suggesting I swap parking spots, not give up my home, made my chest tight. "Let me get this straight," I said. "You want me to give up the unit I own, that I pay the mortgage on, so Chris can have it?" "Not give up," Dad finally spoke, still not looking up. "Trade. You'd still have a place to live. A smaller place, a darker place, the place you've been complaining about for months." Mum waved her hand dismissively. "Those were just observations, not complaints. Besides, Chris needs..." I cut her off. "What about what I need?" "You're established, Mika. You have your career. Chris is just starting out. Nina wants to be a stay-at-home mum. They need the support." "And I don't? I bought this place. I gave you a free place to live. How is that not supporting family?" "That's different," Mum said. She trailed off. "I'm what?" "You're fine on your own. You always have been." The words hit like a slap. I'd heard variations of this my entire life. Maggie's fine. Maggie's strong. Maggie doesn't need help. Maggie can handle it. And Chris isn't fine on his own? He's 27, Mum. When does he start handling things himself? "Family helps family," Dad muttered from his corner. "Really? Is that what this is? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like family takes advantage of family." Mum's face hardened. "You're being selfish. This isn't just about you anymore. Think about your future niece or nephew." "My theoretical future niece or nephew needs my specific unit? The one I bought? The one I live in?" "Nina's already picked out paint colours," Mum said, as if this settled everything. "She has such vision for the space." I laughed. I couldn't help it. The absurdity of it all, the entitlement, the assumptions, the complete disregard for my feelings. It was either laugh or scream. "No," I said simply. "No. No, I'm not trading units. No, Chris and Nina aren't moving in here. No, this conversation isn't happening." Mum's eyes narrowed. "Just say you don't want us here." "I wanted you here. I wanted to help. What I don't want is to be pushed out of my own home to make room for your favourite child. That's not fair. Neither is this." I walked out, ignoring Mum calling after me. Back in my unit, I called Emma. "How bad?" she asked. "Remember when we were kids and Chris broke my science project the night before it was due, and somehow I ended up apologising to him? That bad? Worse. They're acting like I'm selfish for not giving up my home to my baby brother." Emma was quiet for a moment. "You know what this means, right?" "What?" "It's time to stop being the good daughter and start being smart. Get out of your feelings and get into your bank account." I stared at the nursery pamphlet still sitting on my counter. "What do you mean?" "I might know someone. A real estate agent named Kingsley. Want his number?" I thought about Chris's text, about Mum's dismissal, about the measuring tape. "Yes," I said, I think I do." The motion detector alert pinged on my phone at 2:17 p.m. I'd installed it that morning. A small, inconspicuous device pointed at my front door. Now, sitting in my office cubicle, I watched the live feed as Chris and Dad slipped into my unit. "Are you sure she's at work?" Chris's voice came through clearly. "She never comes home before 5, Dad replied. "Where's the measuring tape?" I turned up my phone's volume, hands trembling. "Got it. Nina wants to make sure a king bed will fit in here." The camera caught Chris stretching the tape across my bedroom wall. "Mum said Maggie will come around once we explain the baby thing." "Your mother has a way of handling her?" "Yeah, Mags always caves eventually. Remember when she gave me her car in college?" Dad chuckled. "The Toyota? Your mother convinced her you needed it more for your pizza delivery job than she did for her engineering internship. Good times." "Hey, do you think these closets are big enough for a nursery conversion?" I clicked off the feed, my coffee turning sour in my stomach. Emma's desk was 2 cubicles over. I messaged her, "Need lunch, now." 20 minutes later, we sat in her car, parked behind the office building. I showed her the video. "Those entitled little..." Emma cut herself off. "Please tell me you called the police." "And say what?" "My father and brother used a key my mother gave them to measure my bedroom for furniture they'll never buy." "Point taken." She pulled out her phone. "But I'm calling Kingsley now. This is getting creepy." "The real estate agent you mentioned?" "He's handling several properties on your block. There's this investment firm buying up buildings. They're paying above market if you can deliver vacant units." "Vacant?" I watched her dial. "You mean kick out my parents?" "I mean stop being a doormat and start being strategic." She put the phone on speaker. Kingsley answered on the second ring. His voice was smooth, professional. "Emma, perfect timing. How's your friend?" "Ready to talk numbers," Emma said, giving me a pointed look. "Excellent. The firm I represent, Reed Scott Investments, is very interested in your area. They're paying premium prices for multi-unit properties, especially duplexes. But they need them empty." I thought about the measuring tape, about Nina's Instagram tour, about Mum's dismissal of my feelings. "How premium are we talking?" He named a figure that made me choke on my iced tea. "That's significant," I managed. "The catch is the timeline. They want to close fast, 3 weeks max. Both units need to be vacated before closing." Emma muted the phone. "Think about it. You could buy a nice condo with that money, one with a view, one without entitled family members measuring your closets." I unmuted. "Can you send me the paperwork?" "I'll email it today. Just remember, discretion is key until we're ready to move. These deals work best when everyone finds out at once." After hanging up, Emma studied my face. "You okay?" "I don't know. This feels... justified?" I was going to say terrifying. My phone buzzed. A voice memo in the family group chat. Chris's excited voice filled the car. "Mum, Dad, I can't thank you enough for making this happen. This is my first big step toward real adulthood, and I couldn't do it without you guys. Nina's already planning the baby's room. Emma raised an eyebrow. Still terrified? I played the message again, letting the entitled confidence in my brother's voice wash over me. He hadn't even bothered to remove me from the chat. That's how certain they were I'd cave. Send me Kingsley's email, I said. Back at work, I couldn't focus. The property listing Kingsley sent showed my duplex from the street. A modest building with good bones and a fresh coat of paint I'd paid for last spring. The offer letter waited in my inbox, cursor blinking on the signature line. My phone buzzed again. Mum, Maggie, come to dinner tonight. We need to discuss some necessary upgrades to your unit. Nothing major, just some changes to make it more suitable for a young couple. The audacity stunned me into laughter. They weren't even pretending anymore. I typed back, "Sure, Mum, happy to talk about changes." Then I opened Kingsley's email and signed the preliminary paperwork. Emma messaged me. "Did you do it?" "Just signed. Is it wrong that I feel nothing?" "Nope. That's your self-respect growing back." I looked at the family chat again. Chris had sent another voice memo. "Can't wait to give this place the update it needs. No offense, Mags, but your style is a little basic." My fingers hovered over the phone, tempted to tell him exactly how basic he'd find apartment hunting with no free options. Instead, I closed the chat and emailed Kingsley. "Papers signed. Let's make this happen. Sometimes the best revenge isn't a loud confrontation. Sometimes it's a quiet signature on a document no one sees coming." Kingsley's office was exactly what you'd expect. All glass, chrome, and expensive coffee. He wore a tailored suit that probably cost more than my first car and smiled like someone who knew the value of everything. "Reed Scott is very interested in your property," he said, sliding a folder across his desk. "Location, condition, potential. It checks all their boxes. And they really need both units empty? Company policy. They're planning significant renovations." He paused. "I understand there might be some personal complications." I thought about the text Mum had sent that morning. "Nina's parents want to see the nursery space next week. We'll use your spare key." "No complications," I said, opening the folder. "Just timing." The numbers made my head spin. The down payment alone could fund a decent condo purchase. The full amount would let me buy something outright in a better neighbourhood. 3 weeks is fast, I said. That's why the offer is so generous. Reed Scott values efficiency. He tapped the papers. Of course, if it's too rushed. It's not. I reached for a pen. Where do I sign? As I scrawled my signature across multiple pages, Kingsley explained the process. The deposit would clear in days. The full payment would be ready at closing. All I had to do was ensure both units were vacant. How do you usually handle the notification process? I asked. Typically, we post formal notices once the deal is firm. But given your unique situation, you might want to handle it differently. You mean tell them myself? He shrugged. Sometimes it's easier to let the paperwork do the talking. Back at work, Emma brought coffee to my desk. Well, it's done. 3 weeks until closing. How do you feel? I stared at my computer screen, where an email from Mum sat unopened. Suggestions for your unit upgrades attached. Like I'm either the worst daughter in history or the first sane person in my family. Try option B. Emma perched on my desk. Have you started looking for new places? Found a few possibilities? There's this condo downtown. My phone buzzed. Chris. Hey, sis, Nina's parents are coming by next week to see the place. Mum said you're cool with it? I typed back. Sorry, busy with work, can't make it. 3 dots appeared as he typed. No worries, we have keys. The casual entitlement made my decision easier. I opened Mum's email. The attached document was titled, Necessary Changes for Chris and Nina's New Home. The list was extensive. Remove all personal items from master bedroom. Nina needs a clean slate. Paint walls neutral colours, current colours too dark. Replace shower head. Chris prefers rainfall style. Install new closet organisers. Nina needs more shoe space. Remove office desk, nursery space. At the bottom, Mum had added, "We can start on these this weekend. No need to thank us. We're happy to help." Emma read over my shoulder. "Oh, hell no." "It gets better," I said, scrolling down. "They've created a timeline for my move to the back unit. Apparently, I should be out by the end of the month so they can prepare the space properly for Chris and Nina." The end of the month? That's 1 week before the actual eviction notices go up. Talk about karma. I closed the email without responding and pulled up local real estate listings. A corner unit caught my eye. 12th floor, city views, no family members with spare keys. "That's the one," Emma said, pointing at the screen. "Look at that balcony." My phone buzzed again. Nina had posted another Instagram story. "Can't wait to transform this space. Sorry about the current decor. Previous occupant's taste was a bit basic." The previous occupant. That's what I'd become in my own home. I clicked the contact button on the condo listing and scheduled a viewing for that afternoon. "Want company?" Emma asked. "Actually, yes. I need someone to remind me I'm not crazy." "You're not crazy. You're just finally standing up for yourself." I glanced at my phone as another message came through. Dad this time. "Your mother's put a lot of thought into these upgrades. Don't make this difficult." Don't make this difficult. The family motto, at least when it came to me. Give in. Go along. Don't rock the boat. I turned off my phone and grabbed my keys. Let's go look at my future home. One without a guest key under the mat. Emma grinned. Now, that's the spirit. As we left the office, I felt lighter than I had in months. In 3 weeks, they'd learn what happens when you push too far. In 3 weeks, I'd be free. But first, I had a condo to buy and a poker face to perfect. "This sauce is delicious, Mija," Mum said, helping herself to more pasta. Though the kitchen in the back unit doesn't have enough counter space for proper cooking. I smiled and refilled her wine glass. Family dinner, my last one in this house, though they didn't know it yet. 2 weeks until closing, and I'd mastered the art of nodding along. "I've been thinking about what you said," I told her, watching her face light up. "About the unit swap." Chris nearly choked on his garlic bread. "Really? You're okay with it?" "Well, you know what they say, family first." The words tasted like vinegar. Nina clapped her hands. "Oh my God, this is perfect. I already have paint samples picked out. And wait until you see the nursery mood board I created." Dad looked uncomfortable, like he always did when things went too smoothly. "That's very generous of you, Maggie." "It's nothing," I said, standing to clear plates. "Just let me think about the timing." Later, after they'd gone back to their unit, I checked another item off my secret to-do list. Host last family dinner. Next up, remove name from utility bills. My phone buzzed with a text from Kingsley. "Paperwork finalised. Reed Scott confirms closing date. Notices go up in 1 week." I'd already moved most of my important stuff to a storage unit. The condo downtown was mine. Bought with the deposit money, keys already in hand. Emma had helped me move boxes at night, careful not to raise suspicion. "Mags!" Chris's voice came through the connecting door. "Can I come in?" "Sure." I quickly closed the moving checklist on my phone. He entered, looking around my half-packed living room. "Just wanted to say thanks. This means everything to us." "Of course." I gestured to a box. "Just organising some things." "Need help packing?" He picked up a framed photo of us as kids. "Man, remember when I broke your science project and you still helped me finish mine?" "I remember." You've always been the responsible one, the steady one. He set down the photo. Mum says you're fine with moving next week? I kept my face neutral, still working out the details. Nina's parents are coming Sunday to see the place. They're so excited about having their grandchild grow up here. My phone buzzed again. Kingsley. Eviction notices printed, ready when you are. That's great, I said, sliding the phone into my pocket. Everything's falling into place. Chris hugged me, something he hadn't done in years. You're the best sister ever. I promise we'll make this place amazing. After he left, I went to change the locks on my back doors. Another item on the checklist. Through the window, I could see Mom in her kitchen, probably planning more improvements to my space. Emma called while I was working on the locks. How's the poker face holding up? Oscar worthy. They're planning a nursery in a home they'll never live in. When do the notices go up? 1 week, right after Nina's parents' grand tour. I finished with the lock. Mum sent me another list of demands today. Apparently, my kitchen cabinets need updating before Chris moves in. The audacity is almost impressive. You should see the mood board Nina made. She's planning to paint over the walls I just redid last year. How's the new place looking? I smiled, thinking of my downtown condo. Beautiful. No family, no drama, just peace and quiet. And no spare keys floating around. Exactly. My phone chimed with a group text from Mum. Great news. We invited Nina's parents over to see where the kids will raise our grandchild. Sunday at 2. Maggie, please make sure your unit is presentable. I typed back. Can't wait. Emma snorted. You're evil. No, I'm practical. Isn't that what they always said about me? Another text from Mum. We'll need to start moving your things to the back unit next week. Chris and Nina want to paint before the baby furniture arrives. I didn't respond. Instead, I looked at my checklist. Change locks, remove valuables, transfer utilities, host last dinner, secure new home. Only one item remained. Watch it all unfold. Nina posted another Instagram story. Sunday's the big day. Can't wait to show everyone our future home. It was say, I saved the story. Something to look at when the guilt crept in. Though, surprisingly, it hadn't yet. Maybe because every presumptuous text, every entitled demand, every boundary crossed had slowly killed whatever guilt I might have felt. One more week of pretending. One more week of nodding and smiling. One more week until they learned what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. I turned off the lights in my almost empty home and went to bed, dreaming of karma in the form of eviction notices. The eviction notices went up at exactly 9 a.m. on Monday. I heard Mum scream from my unit, followed by rapid pounding on my door. Maggie, Maggie, open up. I took a deep breath and opened the door. Mum thrust the notice in my face, her hands shaking. What is this? Some kind of joke? I made a show of reading the paper. Notice of eviction, property sold, 3 weeks to vacate. I looked up. I got one too. This can't be legal. Chris burst through the door, Nina trailing behind him. They can't just sell the building. Actually, I said, they can. I already called the number on the notice. Dad appeared last, his face ashen. What did they say? Some company called Reed Scott Investments bought the whole building. They're renovating both units. Nina started crying. But the nursery! We had everything planned! I'm sure we can figure something out, Mum said, patting Nina's shoulder. Maggie, call them back. Tell them you own this unit. Owned, I corrected. The sale's already final. Chris grabbed his phone. I'm calling a lawyer. They can't do this to us. Right on cue, a sleek black car pulled up outside. Kingsley stepped out, briefcase in hand. Perfect timing, I said. That's the real estate agent. We all watched through the window as Kingsley approached, looking every bit the professional businessman. He knocked on the door. Good morning. he said when I opened it. I represent Reed Scott Investments. I see you've received our notices. Mum pushed forward. This is a mistake. My daughter owns this building. Former owner, Kingsley corrected smoothly, opening his briefcase. The sale was finalised last week. I have the paperwork here. Chris snatched the documents, scanning them frantically. This can't be... Wait. He looked up at me. These are dated 2 weeks ago. You knew about this? I kept my face carefully neutral. I got the same offer you're holding. Reed Scott has been buying properties all over the neighbourhood. Why didn't you tell us? Nina demanded. Would it have mattered? The offer was too good to pass up. Mum's face went from red to white. You sold it without telling us, like how you were giving away my unit without telling me. The silence was deafening. Kingsley cleared his throat. The terms are quite clear. Both units must be vacated within 3 weeks. Reed Scott is prepared to offer a modest relocation allowance to assist with moving expenses. Relocation allowance? Chris laughed bitterly. Our whole future was planned here. Your future, I said quietly. In my home, that you measured behind my back. Understanding dawned on Dad's face first. Maggie? The notices are legal, Kingsley continued. All paperwork is in order. I suggest you use this time to secure new housing arrangements. Nina burst into fresh tears. But my parents already bought us nursery furniture. It's being delivered next week. I'd suggest cancelling that delivery, I said. Mum stepped close to me, her voice dropping to a whisper. You planned this. You're no longer our daughter. Funny, I replied just as quietly. I stopped feeling like your daughter when you decided my home belonged to Chris. Kingsley handed out information packets. These contain local rental listings and moving company recommendations. Reed Scott appreciates your cooperation in this matter. Chris crumpled his packet. This isn't over. We'll fight this. Feel free, Kingsley said, though I should mention the sale contract is ironclad. Ms. Valdez's lawyer made sure of that. All eyes turned to me. You had a lawyer? Dad asked. I learned from the best, I said. Family first, right? Nina stormed out, followed by Chris shouting about lawsuits. Mom stood frozen, clutching her eviction notice like a lifeline. 3 weeks, Kingsley reminded them. After that, any remaining occupants will be removed by law enforcement. Dad took Mum's arm. Come on, Yolanda, we need to think. They left without looking at me. Kingsley waited until they were gone before speaking. Cleanly done, he said. The closing documents are ready whenever you are. I nodded, watching through the window as my family huddled in their unit, probably already plotting their next move. You know they'll try to fight this, he warned. Let them try. I learned something important recently. What's that? Sometimes the best revenge isn't just serving karma, it's serving it with proper paperwork. He smiled and headed back to his car. I closed the door on my empty unit, feeling lighter than I had in months. My phone buzzed. Emma. Did it happen? It's done, I typed back. Freedom comes in 3 weeks. How do you feel? I looked at the nursery mood board Nina had left on my counter last week. Like I finally grew a spine, I replied, and it feels amazing. Moving day arrived with the screech of truck brakes and the thud of boxes. I stood with Emma on the sidewalk, watching the movers empty both units. Mum and Dad's furniture went into a storage unit. They'd found a small apartment across town. My remaining things headed straight to my new condo. They're still not speaking to you? Emma asked. Chris tried serving me with lawsuit papers yesterday. His lawyer took one look at the sale contract and dropped the case. A crash from inside made us both jump. Nina stormed out, mascara running. This is all your fault, she screamed at me. We had everything planned. You had my home planned, I corrected. There's a difference. We're family. Family doesn't measure rooms behind each other's backs. She threw her hands up. It was just measuring. We were trying to plan our future. In my house, without asking. Because we knew you'd say no. Exactly. I watched the movers carry out the couch I'd bought last year. And that should have been your answer. Chris appeared behind her, looking deflated. Come on, Nina, it's not worth it. Not worth it? She whirled on him. Your sister just destroyed our future and it's not worth it. Our future? I laughed. You mean the future where you redecorate my home, raise your kids in my space, and I what? Disappear into the back unit like a good little sister? You're just jealous, she spat. Jealous that we're starting a family and you're alone. Emma stepped forward, but I held up a hand. I'm not alone, Nina. I'm free. There's a difference. Free to what? Live in some soulless condo while we struggle to find a place. You could try paying for one, I suggested. Like I did. Chris grabbed Nina's arm. Let's go. We need to finish packing. This was our only shot, she yelled at him. Your parents promised us this place. It was never their place to promise, I said quietly. Nina jerked away from Chris. You're just a little boy who never grew up, she snapped, and I'm done waiting for you to figure it out. We watched her storm to her car and peel away from the curb. Chris stood there looking lost. This was supposed to be my chance to prove myself. Prove yourself by taking what's mine? You always had everything figured out, he said. The good job, the house, the plan. I figured it out by working for it. Try it sometime. He shook his head. You don't understand. Mum and Dad what? Promised you my home, taught you that taking from me was okay, made you think you deserved what I worked for? They just wanted... I know what they wanted. They wanted you settled, comfortable, taken care of. And I was supposed to make that happen by giving up everything I built. A moving truck pulled away, leaving the driveway empty. Through the windows, I could see Mom sitting in their bare living room, staring at nothing. You should have paid for your own future, I told Chris, instead of trying to steal mine. He walked away without responding, shoulders slumped. Dad came out next, carrying a small box of photos. Your mother kept every school picture, he said, not quite looking at me. Even the ones where you wouldn't smile. I wasn't much for faking happiness even then. He shifted the box. We really thought you'd understand. About Chris needing a chance. I understand perfectly. I just stopped agreeing. Mum appeared in the doorway. We're ready, she told Dad, ignoring me completely. They got into their packed car without another word. As they pulled away, I saw Mom wipe her eyes. Emma touched my arm. You okay? Honestly? Yes. I watched the last moving truck disappear around the corner. It hurts, but not as much as letting them take everything would have. Want to go see your new place? No family drama, no entitled siblings, no measuring tapes. I smiled. Actually, I want to do one last thing. We walked through both empty units. My footsteps echoed in spaces that had once held so many dreams, theirs and mine. In what used to be my bedroom, Nina's paint sample still clung to the wall. Nursery yellow and baby's breath white. I peeled them off one by one. Ready? Emma asked from the doorway. Ready. Outside, I locked both doors for the last time. The keys would go to Kingsley tomorrow, along with the final paperwork. Hey, Emma said as we walked to my car. Remember what you told me when you first bought this place? What? Family is everything. Funny how things change. I look back at the empty duplex. Family is everything, I agreed, until it costs you everything. The city lights sparkled through my new floor-to-ceiling windows as Emma poured the wine. My condo felt different from the duplex. Cleaner, lighter, like the air itself had been filtered of guilt and obligation. To peace, purchased in cold cash, Emma toasted, to measuring tapes and karma. My phone buzzed, a text from Kingsley. Reed Scott just listed the duplex. Asking price is double what they paid. Wow, Emma peered at the screen. They're not wasting any time. Good for them. I scrolled through the listing photos. They'd already gutted both units, stripped away every trace of the life I'd built there, the dreams my family had tried to steal. Still, no word from any of them. I set down my phone. Chris sent a drunk text last week, something about Nina moving back home to her parents. Apparently she's done waiting for him to become an adult. And your parents? Mom blocked my number. Dad sends one-word responses to holiday messages. It's actually peaceful. A notification popped up. Nina had untagged me from all her future home posts. The nursery mood board disappeared from my feed like it had never existed. You know what's funny? I said, walking to the window. I used to lie awake wondering if I was being too harsh. If maybe I should have just given in, moved to the back unit, let them have their way. And now I sleep just fine. Emma joined me at the window. Below, the city moved in its usual rhythm. People going places, building things, making their own way. I ran into your mum at the grocery store, Emma said quietly. She was comparing prices on canned soup, living within their means for once. She asked about you, pretended it was casual, but I could tell she wanted to know if you regret it. What did you tell her? That you're thriving, that your new place has amazing natural light. Emma smiled. That karma doesn't always knock. Sometimes she signs title paperwork. I laughed, remembering Mum's face when Kingsley showed up with those eviction notices. Think they learned anything? Chris did. He's working 2 jobs now, trying to save for his own place. No more waiting for handouts. My phone buzzed again, a number I didn't recognise. The text read, "It's Dad. Got a new phone. Your mother won't admit it, but she misses you." I showed Emma the message. Are you going to respond? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe. When they're ready to see me as an adult with boundaries, not just a resource to exploit. And if they never are, then I'll keep enjoying my view. Emma refilled our glasses. Remember, in college, when Chris borrowed your car and crashed it? Your parents made you split the insurance deductible with him because family helps family. God, I'd almost forgotten about that. You haven't forgotten anything. You just stopped accepting it. The city lights blurred slightly as I blinked back unexpected tears. I miss who I thought they were, the family I wanted them to be. But not who they actually are. No, not anymore. Another text from Dad. We made mistakes, big ones. I watched the cursor blink, waiting for more. Nothing came. That's new, Emma said. Admitting mistakes? Too little, too late. I put the phone down. They can keep their regrets. I'm keeping my peace. The moon rose over the city skyline, casting long shadows through my new home. No measuring tapes here, no nursery plans, no guilt. Emma raised her glass again. To boundaries, to consequences, to finally putting yourself first. My phone lit up one last time. Kingsley. Reed Scott got an offer on the duplex, above asking price. Karma's profitable these days? I smiled and turned off my phone. Let Reed Scott have their profit. I got something better. Freedom. You know what the best part is? I told Emma, sinking into my new couch. I don't have a spare key hidden anywhere. She laughed. No more surprise tours? No more surprise anything. Outside, the city hummed with possibility. Inside, my space stayed mine, measured only by my own dreams, decorated only with my own choices. The guilt had faded, replaced by something stronger. Certainty. They say home is where the heart is, but sometimes home is where you finally learn to protect your heart, even from family, especially from family. I raised my glass to the city lights, to empty rooms filled with peace, to karma's perfect timing, to measuring life by my own standards, not theirs. And somewhere in the night, a family learned that actions have consequences, entitlement has limits, and some bridges once burned light the way to better places.
My sister accidentally sent me a voice message that was meant for our mom. What I heard changed everything. And by the next morning, I had a plan she never expected. I'm Ava, and this is how my sister IJ mistake pushed me toward the most satisfying revenge of my life. Sister and I were always close, or at least I believed we were. We're only 2 years apart. I'm 27 and she's 26, and we both live in Denver, not far from each other. I run a small graphic design business from home, and she works in marketing at a tech company. We talked almost every day, had lunch together often, and I was even helping her plan her wedding. I truly thought we were best friends. That illusion broke one Tuesday morning. I woke up and saw a voice note from RJ, sent late the night before. Smiling, I played it while making coffee, expecting something about wedding plans or a funny story. Instead, I heard her complaining about me. Her voice sounded slightly drunk as she said, "Mom, I'm so tired of pretending to care about Ava's little business. She actually thinks she's successful. It's embarrassing." I froze. She went on, saying I barely made enough money to survive and was living paycheck to paycheck. Then she laughed about my design work, saying the wedding designs I made for her looked cheap. Every word felt like a slap. She even said she only kept me around because she felt sorry for me, because I didn't have friends and my dating life was a mess. I stood there in shock, tears running down my face, unable to stop listening. But here's what RJ didn't know. Everything she said about me was wrong. My business wasn't struggling, it was thriving. I had earned $555,000 the previous year. I worked with big clients, including the same company she worked for. I just never told her, because I knew she could be competitive. The cheap $333 logos she mocked? Those were only for small clients. My real projects were worth thousands. I had savings, investments, and had already paid a deposit on a new condo. My personal life wasn't a disaster either. My ex wasn't a loser, he worked at a major tech company, and we ended things peacefully. I was even dating someone new. RJ had created her own version of me in her head, a weak, struggling sister she could feel superior to. And I had believed she cared about me. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. All the times I helped her for free, all the support I gave her, all the moments I thought we were bonding, none of it was real to her. Then the memories started to hurt. I remembered staying up late to redesign her wedding materials just to make her happy. I remembered canceling plans to help her. I remembered comforting her when she cried about money. Now I realized something painful. She wasn't grateful. She was using me. Even worse, she had been telling others lies about my life. She made it seem like I was struggling, like she was helping me, like I needed her. She carefully built an image where she looked successful, and I looked like a failure. And I never questioned it. That day, everything became clear. For the first time in years, I stopped worrying about her feelings. I stopped hiding my success to make her comfortable. Instead, I started planning. I wrote down everything she had said, every lie she told, and every time she made me look small in front of others. That voice message didn't just hurt me. It gave me the truth. And with that truth, I began creating a plan. A plan that would expose everything. And this time, RJ wouldn't see it coming. Not the fake story RJ had been telling everyone, but the real truth about my life. I started quietly talking to family members. I asked simple questions about what they thought was going on with me, my work, my money, my life. What I found made me both shocked and angry. According to RJ, I was struggling badly. She had told everyone that I could barely pay my bills, that I was searching for a real job, and that I depended on her help. She made herself look like my savior, my advisor, my supporter, the one holding my life together. When I spoke to my mom, she sounded worried. "She's just concerned about you," she said gently. "RJ told me you're having trouble paying rent, and that you might move back home." I held the phone tightly, trying to stay calm. Did she say anything else? I asked. Mom continued. She said you're struggling to find clients and thinking about going back to school for something stable. She really cares about you, Ava. A rough phase. There was no rough phase. It was all a lie RJ had created, and now my own mother believed it. I spoke to more people, my dad, my grandparents, even family friends. Every single one of them believed the same story. RJ was the successful, kind sister, and I was the struggling one everyone felt sorry for. The worst moment came at a family dinner. My aunt pulled me aside and quietly handed me a check for $500. RJ told me you're having financial problems, she whispered kindly. Don't feel ashamed to accept help. I looked at the check, feeling two things at once, thankful for her kindness, but furious at RJ. How many people had she told this lie to? How many people were looking at me with pity because of her? I accepted the check, but later, I donated even more money to my aunt's favorite charity. I added a note thanking her and explaining that I was actually doing very well and wanted to help others instead. I didn't mention RJ, but I made sure to include details about my success and my new condo. At the same time, I slowly started correcting the story without directly accusing anyone. When people asked how I was doing, I stopped giving simple answers. Instead, I casually talked about my projects, my clients, and my achievements. Nothing flashy, just the truth. People began to notice the difference. At a family barbecue, my cousin looked surprised when I mentioned landing a big client. Wow, Ava, that's amazing, she said. RJ made it sound like you were still struggling. I just smiled. Maybe there was some confusion, I said calmly. People don't always get the full picture. That was enough. I wasn't attacking RJ's lies directly, but I was planting doubt. And it was working. Phase 2, playing along. Then came the second part of my plan. I decided to act exactly how RJ expected me to act. If she thought I was struggling, I would let her believe it. But this time, I was paying attention and recording everything. I started small. During our usual calls, I mentioned being worried about money or clients. Her reaction was immediate. Oh, Ava, she said softly, but I could hear the satisfaction in her voice. Freelancing isn't always stable. There's no shame in getting a real job. She even suggested I apply to her fiancé's company, talking about job security and steady income. I recorded every word. Every call revealed how she truly saw me. Then I took it further. I asked her for small favors, things that made her feel important. One day, I asked if I could borrow $50 for groceries, saying I was waiting for a payment. She agreed, but not without a lecture. This is exactly the problem, she said. Freelancing is unpredictable. In a real job, you get paid on time. I nodded, acting grateful. But inside, I was watching her carefully, recording everything. That $50? I didn't need it. I saved it, and planned to return it later, with interest. Every moment, every word, every fake act of kindness. I was collecting it all. And soon, I would use it. Was too stressed with work to enjoy anything. This helped me in two ways. It made her believe I was struggling, and it gave me time to prepare for what I was planning without acting normal around her. One day she called and said, I'm really worried about you. You seem so alone lately. Maybe you should see a therapist to deal with your career stress. Career stress. I almost laughed. While she thought I was failing, I had just closed the biggest deal of my life and was about to be featured in a business magazine as one of the top young entrepreneurs in Denver. But she didn't know that. I had asked them to publish the article after her wedding, so the timing would be perfect for my plan. The hardest part was watching how happy she seemed about my failure. She started calling more often, giving advice and suggesting job options. She offered to fix my resume and connect me with people. But it didn't feel like help. It felt like she was trying to prove she was better than me. Every conversation made it clear. She saw herself as the successful sister helping the struggling one. And she enjoyed it. The worst moment happened at dinner one night. She insisted on paying because, as she said, money is tight for you. On our way out, she met a woman from her gym and introduced me in a pitying tone. This is my sister, Ava. She's having a hard time trying to succeed as a freelance designer. It's such a tough field. I keep telling her to choose something more stable, but you know how artists are. The woman looked at me awkwardly and said, well, it's nice you're following your passion. RJ added, she's talented, but talent doesn't always mean success. I'm just trying to help her see other options. I wanted to scream, but I just smiled and stayed quiet. Inside, I was remembering every word. That night, I went home and checked my bank accounts, investments, and upcoming contracts, worth more than RJ would earn in years. Then I looked at the recorder I'd been using to save our conversations. I felt calm and satisfied. RJ didn't realize it, but she was setting her own trap. Every rude comment, every fake concern, every moment of acting superior. I had recorded it all. Soon, I would play it back in front of the people who mattered to her. I started phase 1 right away. I became distant. I replied to her messages with short answers and cancelled plans, saying I was busy trying to find work. She asked, "Is everything okay? You seem different." "I'm just stressed about money," I said. "I might need a regular job. Freelancing isn't working." I could almost hear her happiness. "That might be better," she said. "There's no shame in a stable job. This company is hiring, you should apply." Meanwhile, I moved to phase 2. I contacted my professional network and set up meetings with big companies, even one of IJ's competitors. At the same time, I collected proof, screenshots of her messages, recordings of her calls, and evidence of all the free work I had done for her wedding. Then came phase 2. A few weeks later, I signed the biggest contract of my life, worth $672,000. But I kept pretending to struggle. I told RJ I was behind on rent and even asked her for grocery money. When we met for lunch, I let her pay. "I'm really worried about you," she said. "Maybe it's time to accept reality." "You're right," I replied softly. "Do you think this company would hire me?" "Of course," she said with a proud smile. "You just need direction." I nodded, secretly counting the days until her wedding. The wedding was in June at a beautiful mountain venue. A few days before it, I sent a message to our entire family and the wedding party. "I have a special surprise for RJ at the wedding. Please keep it a secret." Everyone was excited. RJ asked me about it, but I told her to wait. Finally, the big day came. The wedding was perfect, and RJ looked stunning. I played my role, the kind, struggling sister. At the reception, after dinner, I asked the DJ for the microphone. Standing in front of all the guests, I smiled. "Hi everyone, I'm Ava, RJ's sister. I'd like to share something special about her." RJ smiled brightly, expecting a loving speech. "RJ and I have always been close," I said. "She's always been there for me during tough times. She even checks in with our mom about me, just to make sure I'm okay." I paused, then took out my phone and connected it to the speakers. "She doesn't like to show how much she cares," I added. "So I thought it would be nice if you all heard it from her directly."